Well, Happy New Year. Welcome to ByteSized Episode 6. I'm TJ, your host, and today we're going to be talking about Saving Mr. Banks. I hold in my hand here the beloved Mary Poppins, and Saving Mr. Banks is about the making of Mary Poppins, of course featuring Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke. It's a well-loved film. Apparently the author P.L. Travers wasn't too keen on the film being made, and she put up a lot of roadblocks for Walt Disney and the Sherman Brothers who wrote the film. And so let's find out. Let's find out what happened. Let's dive in and see if this film is any good in telling this story. Let's dive in.
Winds in the east, mist coming in.
While I enjoyed this film well enough, I think I would have enjoyed it more if I actually liked Walt Disney's Mary Poppins. But as it is, I tend to agree with Mrs. Travers, who put up a lot of roadblocks for Disney, in that it's too goofy, the animated penguin sequence is out of place. The film does a really poor job of telling the story, and it's basically a vehicle for Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, and it just doesn't work for me really on any level. But I did enjoy Saving Mr. Banks. It's essentially about P.L. Travers fighting to keep the book from being turned into that goofy film that I mentioned. But while I'm no fan of the Mary Poppins film, she is positively contrary and ornery at every turn. And though she was won over on the aspect of the film being a musical, to which she at first was adamantly opposed, she did stipulate, and Walt Disney agreed, that there was to be no animation. But then she found out about the penguin sequence that they had planned, and this was an obvious breach of trust on Disney's part, and she storms right out of his office and straight to the airport. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, Disney followed her back to the land of the British and convinced her to hand over the rights, almost seemingly against her will. That's the story the film tells, anyway. I will say that one aspect that I really liked about the film was the narrative of P.L. Travers' tragic childhood, during which we discovered that her father, Travers Goff, even though he loves life and wants nothing more than to while away the days with his children and with his beloved daughter, he just can't put that bottle down. He drinks himself to death, leaving behind his beloved Ginty, as he calls her. She was devastated, and of course, as you would expect, it shaped her entire life, including her contrariness and her attitude that we see portrayed in the film. But despite her annoying personality, it really gives you a love-hate relationship with the character. This gives you the love part, really. And speaking of characters, all were marvelously well played. Emma Thompson gives a great performance as Mrs. Travers, and the show stealer, of course, is Tom Hanks as Walt Disney, which he pulls off with aplomb. One of the lesser-billed stars, Colin Farrell as Travers Goff, probably gets my vote as the best actor in the film. I mean, seriously, it was amazing. My one serious complaint with the film is that it feels a bit too much like PR for Disney. They are the ones that made the film after all, and then it is about a beloved Walt Disney film in the making of that film. But it felt like they glossed over some of the aspects of history, such as the fact that Disney did some shady things to get the rights, including lying to Travers and putting that animated sequence in when he agreed to the stipulation not to. In the film, it just seems glossed over. But in the end, that spoonful of sugar just helps the medicine to go down, if I may borrow the line from Mary Poppins, because I really did enjoy it. So go to the theater for the historicity of the film, go to the theater to see Emma Thompson's great performance and see Tom Hanks as Walt Disney, but, stay for the great filmmaking, because ultimately it is a very well-made film, and about the making of a beloved film, and that film, even though I don't like it, Mary Poppins, it is part of our culture, and the film, Saving Mr. Banks, is quite a ride. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you want to keep up with me on Twitter, you can follow me at twitter.com/TJDraperPro. You can follow MovieByte on Twitter as well, twitter.com/MovieByte. And you can find the show notes for this episode at MovieByte.com/ByteSized/6. And be sure to keep up with all the news, reviews, podcasts, and videos by visiting MovieByte.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.